welcome to Garden Air. Today I am sitting down and going through all of my seeds and deciding on when they need to be planted. So I have a variety of seeds. I have a basket here full of different seeds. So what I need to do is sit down with some calendar pages and count out when and where all of these seeds need to be started. So when you have a variety of seeds, you're going to have different seeds that need to be started at different times, and also some will need to be direct sown outside into the garden, while others do better if they're started inside in little seed trays 6 to 8 weeks, usually generally before your average last frost date. So the first thing you want to do is figure out your average last frost date, and you can Google that. You want to Google it by your area or by your zone. I prefer to do it by my area and not just my zone. So I'm in the Chicago area, so I will just Google average last frost date for Chicago, Illinois. And what I got was May 15th. So I just printed up some calendar pages for the next 3 months off of Google. And I'm just going to count up my seeds and get an average time when I want to start my seeds. Usually a really good seed pack is going to tell you right on the back when and where to start your seeds. So even some of the ones that I buy, like I got these on a shop on Etsy, and they were really good about marking the information for the seeds. So they tell me right on their labels, sow these seeds outdoors or indoors 4 to 6 weeks before the last frost date. Most of your seed packs that you buy will also tell you this information on the back. And like they have right here, when to sow inside and when to sow outside. So that's what I want to take a look at. They'll also tell you if they don't recommend being sown inside, if they do better in the garden directly sown outside. Usually things like watermelon, things like that do really good if you just direct sow them. I usually direct sow my sunflowers, things like that. So I'm just going to show you what I do to organize my seeds so that when we start planting and sowing inside, I'm ready for that and I can get all my seed trays and everything prepared now. So we're just a couple of weeks away from really wanting to begin things. My carrots, my peas, my cold-loving things, my sweet peas, those are going to be getting ready much sooner. I'll be direct sowing all of those outside in just a couple of weeks. As soon as I can really start working the soil, that's when you start those particular plants. So I did want to say that it is important to do this because you don't want to leave your seedlings in the seedling trays for too long. You're starting them in like a seed starting base, and those plants are really going to need to eventually get into soil and into the place where they're really able to grow and thrive. So leaving them in seed trays too long is going to be detrimental to your plants. So it really is good to follow the recommended planting times for your seeds. And of course, growing them outside too soon is detrimental because they'll be frosted and killed. So it is important to get this part of your gardening done and just turn it into one of your yearly routines. So let's take a look at this packet of zinnias. It does tell me that they recommend sowing them directly outside 1 to 2 weeks after the frost date, or if you're going to start them inside, start them 4 to 6 weeks before your average last frost date. I'll be planting these directly outside, so I'm not going to mark them for indoors. So I'm going to just plan on zinnias being done in May, somewhere around the week of the 29th. So I'm just going to mark here zinnias. Moving on to moonflowers. Recommends to sow outside 1 to 2 weeks after the frost date or start inside 4 to 6 weeks before last frost date. And these I think I'll also do direct seed. So I'm just going to put these with the zinnias. Let's take a look at tomatoes because I know I'll be starting these indoors. Tomatoes like warmth to be able to germinate well. So they do recommend starting them inside, and it says 4 to 6 weeks before transplanting. Transplant when air temperature is 45 degrees or warmer, usually 1 to 2 weeks after your last average frost date. So if I want to plan on putting tomatoes in the ground when it's warm enough and safe enough, I'll probably plan putting them in the ground the very end of May to the beginning of June. So I'm going to count up to 4 to 6 weeks from this date, from this week. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and to make it a little safe, go to the end of April. So 5, 6, we have the 4 to 6 week area somewhere in here. So I'm just going to pick a date that will be likely for me to start seeds, which would probably be a Sunday. So I'm going to look at around that 24th of April, and I'm going to put in here tomatoes. And you can make like a little code, like an asterisk or an exclamation point or whatever, to represent inside or outside. And then just make separate piles. So you have your inside vegetables, your outside vegetables, your inside flowers, your outside flowers. And then I have just some sticky notes and some rubber bands so that once I have all of my piles situated, I can mark them by inside and the date to start them by, and then just put them into their like piles with their tab and a rubber band, and keep everything organized that way. So let's take a look at some packets for some herbs. I have feverfew and hyssop. So on my feverfew, it says if I'm going to do outdoors, wait till after the threat of frost. Indoors would be 4 to 6 weeks before the last frost. So unlike the tomatoes, I won't be counting up from the transplant date. I'm going to count up just 4 to 6 weeks from the frost date. So here's my frost date, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I'm looking around the 17th. I'm going to go up one more week, and maybe, well, not a full week, just a couple of days to that Friday or Saturday. I'll be looking at the 15th or 16th. So I'll put in here feverfew and give it my little asterisk, marking it as an indoor starting. And then I'm just going to continue on for the rest of my seeds. Now, if you have saved seeds that maybe you collected from your garden or a friend gave you, and they're just kind of, random and they don't have packaging, you can just Google when to start those seeds. Don't follow someone else's date. So if you pull up a blog or something and someone says, oh, I plant my foxgloves on April 8th outside, that might be a great date for them, but that's probably not going to be a great date for you because you might not be in the same kind of zone, definitely not the same area. So what you want to Google is how many weeks before the frost date should you start them inside, or how long after the frost date should you start them outside, depending on what you're planning on doing. So don't go by other people's dates. Find that week that you need to be looking at for all of your seeds. And that's just a really important thing to remember. We all have different climates. We all have different environments happening in our gardens. So what works for one person will not work for everyone. So just always keep that in mind. So this is how I organize my seeds, and I have a lot in front of me to do. So I'm not going to go through every seed pack with you. I hope you get the gist of what I'm doing. And then once your calendar is done, you'll be all organized and you'll know when to go out and have all of your seed starting material ready, and you will have your date set saying this is when I'm starting seeds, and you can get all excited and hyped up, and you know you can spend that day working on seed starting. And I will do a video on actual seed starting as well. So you can look for a video coming up on seed starting itself. I'll be showing you how to use your seed trays properly, how to take care of your seedlings, and what I generally do to get things started inside. And we can also do some direct sowing once the warm weather comes around. Gardening season is right around the corner, guys. I promise spring is coming and I cannot wait. So with all of that said, I'm just going to get my work done here and look for a video coming up on how to start your seed trays indoors. And please hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. I'm really planning on doing a lot more gardening stuff as the weather gets better. And I'm just really excited to be doing these videos. So if you like gardening videos, if you like homemaking videos, cooking, all of those things that make life at home better, please subscribe to my channel and let me know what kind of videos you like to see in the future. So you all have a wonderful day. I wish you all much happiness and blessings. Bye.